In this video, we will explore together the process of disassembling, cleaning, and adjusting the Carfill 32 IRM 2AM carburetor. This carburetor was produced in Brașov, Romania, manufactured under license from Weber, Italy, being a copy of the Weber 34 ICH model with minor modifications. We will see later in the video how the carburetor manages the air-fuel ratio in different situations, adjusting to ensure optimal engine performance. Did you know the optimal air-fuel ratio is 14.7, meaning for every 1 gram of fuel, 14.7 grams of air are required? A lean mixture is great for saving fuel, especially at steady speeds or light acceleration. It also helps reduce emissions by ensuring more complete combustion. On the other hand, a rich mixture is needed when you want more power, like during hard acceleration, when the engine is cold and needs help starting smoothly, or when you're towing something heavy. This car is a Dacia, 1310 model number, made in Romania, a beautiful country located in Europe. It's based on the Renault R12 model, produced under license, and was manufactured from 1979 until 2004. It features a 1.4-litre gasoline engine and drives like a true vintage gem. Give that like button a hit, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell to stay updated with our latest uploads. This metal thing is a device that induces a vortex in the intake manifold mounted after the carburetor, and its purpose is to provide additional homogenization of the fuel in the air. Now let's see how the carburetor works under normal running conditions. The fuel, through the needle valve 1, passes to the bowl 18, where the float 19, articulated in the pivot point 21, regulates the needle opening 2 in order to keep the level of the liquid constant. The needle 2 is connected to float tab 19 by means of the return hook 20. From the bowl 18 through the main jet 17, the fuel reaches the well 15 along duct 16. Mixed with air from the orifices of the emulsifying tube 14 and the air corrector jet 4, through the nozzle 10, it reaches the carburation area, consisting of the venturi tube 11 and the narrowing section 12, which accelerate the airflow and create a pressure drop to draw and promote fuel atomization. On the other hand, the fuel from the float bowl, 18, passes through the enrichment jet 3 and the duct 5, mixes with the air coming through the calibrated hole 6, and passing through the duct 7 and the calibrated bushing 8, is drawn through the duct 9 into the carburation area at high RPM with the carburetor throttle valve fully open. The figure shows the connector 45 for the suction of gases from the engine crankcase. This is the idle jet, which mixes fuel with a small amount of air before it reaches the carburation area, where it receives its full air supply. This is the air corrector jet, which regulates the amount of air entering the system to adjust the air-fuel mixture. Let's examine how the carburetor functions when the engine is at idle and how it transitions to mid-RPMs. From the well 15, the fuel passes to the idle jet 23, emulsioned with the air from calibrated orifice 22 through duct 24 and the idle feed orifice 26, the last being adjustable by means of screw 25. It reaches the carburetor duct downstream of the throttle valve 13. The mixture also reaches the carburetor duct from the progression holes, 27, placed on a level with the throttle 13, so allowing a regulated increase in angular speed of the engine starting from idling speed. To prevent ice formation in the carburetor conduit in the area of the idle hole and progression holes, which can occur under certain climatic conditions during the winter season, warm water circulates through tubes 46 and 47. In parallel with the engine's main cooling circuit to keep the idle channel area 24 heated. This is the fuel screw, which is used to adjust the idle air-fuel mixture. This is the emulsion tube linked to the main jet, which pre-mixes fuel with air before the final fuel-air mixture is formed. Accelerating under load to a high RPM speed. Closing the throttle valve, lever 34, frees the diaphragm 35, which, due to the action of the spring 37, draws fuel from the float bowl 18 through the ball valve 38 and duct 33. Opening the throttle by means of lever 31, rod 32, lever 34 and diaphragm 35, the fuel is injected into the duct of the carburetor along duct 30 through the delivery valve 29 and the pump jet 28. When the throttle is fully open, the diaphragm 35, through the action of the spring 36, is further displaced to lengthen fuel delivery in the carburetor duct. The intake valve 38 may be fitted with a calibrated orifice which discharges excess fuel into the bowl. This is the venturi tube. I'm using a razor blade here to inspect and smooth out the surface. Engine cold start with liver 39 in position A. The choke valve 42 blocks the air intake while, by means of rod 40 and lever 41, the throttle 13 partially opens. The Venturi tube nozzle 10 therefore delivers a rich mixture, so facilitating an easy engine startup. Once the engine is started, the depression partially opens the choke valve 42 against the action of the spring 43. The mixture, still rich, allows regular engine speed. During the engine warming-up phase, the choke valve 42 must be progressively opened. When running temperature is reached, the device switched off completely and will be position B. The choke valve 42 is kept completely open by tab 44 while throttle 13 is brought to the idling position. Now let's begin cleaning all the internal passages, orifices and ducts using a mixture of lacquer thinner and gasoline, applied with a brush and followed by compressed air. Please be cautious of small parts and loosely attached ones, as they may fly off. Here I'm using a piece of internet cable, as the diameter of the copper and insulation is a perfect fit for cleaning small ducts. Additionally, the soft copper won't scratch the aluminum. This is the needle valve, which, along with the float, regulates the gasoline level in the bowl. Attached to the float is a metal tab with 2 small tabs and 1 long tab. The 2 small tabs serve different purposes. One limits the high point of the float and can be bent to calibrate it, while the other connects the float to the needle valve. Lastly, the long tab is used to calibrate the low point of the float due to its length. float level adjustment. To adjust the float level, we need to ensure that the inlet valve V is properly threaded into its seat. Hold the carburetor cover C in a vertical position so that the weight of the float G does not cause the ball SF to enter the seat of the valve pin S. With the carburetor cover C vertical and the float tab LC lightly in contact with the ball SF in the pin S, the float G should be positioned at a distance of 6 mm from the cover surface with the gasket G mounted and properly sealed to it. The level adjustment is verified by ensuring the float travel G is between 7 to 7.5 mm, and if necessary, the position of the metal tab A is adjusted. Check if the return hook of the pin S allows it to move freely in its seat. If the float G is not correctly positioned, the metal tab L of the float should be adjusted so the desired measurement is achieved, ensuring that the tab LC is perpendicular to the axis of the pin S and that there are no irregularities on the contact plane that could affect the free movement of the pin. Here I use 2 drill bits with the exact required measurements and proceed to calibrate the float by bending the long tab, which essentially sets the high point of the gasoline level in the bowl. The 2 drill bits have diameters of 6 mm and 13.5 mm respectively. Now that everything is set, let's quickly reassemble the carburetor and see how the car starts.